Partners. As we begin this morning, Carl Wynn is here to pray for our breakfast.
Good morning. Amen. This is a good day to be here. Let me tell you just briefly about who I am. Carl Wynn. I work with Texas Southern TSU Baptist Student Ministry. So we're impacting the next generation of world changers. Amen. And so they're going to be some of our next executives and entrepreneurs. And so we want to make sure that they have a missionary mindset when they come to work. So we're just investing in their lives. So I'm going to take time to just pray for us. And we're going to go in and enjoy our time this morning. Lord, we just thank you so much for this gathering, God, in this great city of Houston, Texas. Lord, we know that you have blessed us with life, breath, and everything, not so that we can use it for ourselves, but so we can use it to bring you glory and serve others. And so as we come to this gathering, God, we're coming, God, to not just consume, but to contribute. God, you've all made us unique. And so as we sit at the various tables, God, to make these connections, we're not making these connections in vain, but we're making them so that we can collaborate, see how we can come to the table together so we can continue to impact our city as well as our world. And so, Lord, all of us have different lanes we're in, but God, those lanes cross sometimes. And so let us be strategic about that. Lord, we pray for the speaker who's going to bring the content, because God, we all need to be lifelong learners as we advance your kingdom, as we advance our causes. So we just pray for the speaker that you would give her strength and clarity on helping us to grow. And so we just thank you for everybody here today. Bless our food and just bless our time together. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Carl. Time to eat. Your table leader has some discussion questions for you to consider as you are eating, and we'll draw our attention back up to the stage in just a few minutes. There you go. Well done, John. Good morning once again. Please continue to eat and feel free to continue to visit the food line over the course of the morning. My name is Nancy Penny, and I'm the executive director of the organization that's brought us together this morning, Fellowship of Barnabas Partners. We have an amazing array of people in this room. Some people are here because they've been sponsors for our organization. Others are partners either at the advising or the general level. We have people who have been long-time visitors here, and we have people who are here for the first time. No matter what category you fall into, there's a reason why God has you here this morning, and that will continue to unveil over the course of the morning. In addition to having people who have different experience with our organization, we have people who have passions in a variety of areas. I just glanced at the registration list and came up with this. In the room this morning, we have people who are passionate, driven by God, to serve college students, assistance ministries, end-of-life families, people who are taking care of post-incarceration reintegration, people who are doing substance abuse recovery, people who care for the widowed, people who are working in community development, church planting, and caring for those who have no homes, people who are passionate about evangelism, medical outreach, mental health, unemployed, trafficking prevention, refugee reintegration, foster care, financial education, mentoring youth, and so many more. We have people who are professionals who are here to come alongside nonprofit work. We have people with expertise in photography, HR, leadership consulting and coaching, media, accounting, legal services, and more. We have people who are nonprofit leaders, people who are leaders in education, business, churches, and government. We serve areas here right in Houston, on the outreaches of Houston, and then all across the nation, and in places as diverse as Mexico, the Middle East, and, as you'll see later on today, Indonesia. Can you imagine the collective impact of the people who are in this room? And as Carl said before, you're not just individuals. We are all here as parts of the body of Christ. This particular collection of people has never gathered before and will likely never exactly gather as this same group again. There's a reason why you are here. So work the room, keep your eyes and ears open. Remember that you are here both to contribute and to receive from each other and from the Lord. Fellowship of Barnabas Partners has a very clear mission. We are here to equip Christians to help nonprofits. We do that in a variety of ways. We have quarterly breakfasts like these, open to the public, free to all. It's part of our gift to the Houston community. We have content delivered through newsletters and through our website. We want to make sure that anyone who wants to can understand this is a place that they can come to be connected both with others who are doing nonprofit work, or if you are a professional who would like to offer your services to the nonprofit community, there's a place for you to plug in as well. I mentioned that we have people who are our sponsors, so let me briefly highlight these folks who love us well, who serve nonprofits, who make themselves available, sometimes at a professional discount to nonprofits. Please interact with these sponsors and find out ways that you can help them and they can help you. Solace Media is a long time friend of our organization. Natasha and Sunny, somewhere, yay, Paradeshi are here. And they have helped me personally for nearly 5 years with this organization. So I'm so grateful for what they do for nonprofits, foundations, and businesses with big hearts. And I invite you to solace.media to find out more. City Rise Church has launched so many nonprofits. invested in both the Houston community and all around the world. Rainey is here from City Rise. The lights are blinding, thank you. And there are others who are either leading initiatives that City Rise has launched, or you are a member at City Rise, and we're very grateful for the way that you generously share your resources, and most importantly, how you generously share the gospel. The Leadership Exchange, represented this morning by John Sloan, is one of the organizations that offers that kind of coaching that I was mentioning before. As leaders are growing their capacity and their leadership, John is one of the ones that you can talk to, and so come see him afterwards. The Leadership Exchange has been around it's an outgrowth of an organization that's been here for many, many years, and so many of you are aware of Brad Hayes and his leadership, and John has come alongside him to particularly serve the nonprofit sector. Willie Professional Services, Jessica. So Drew and Jessica Willie provide, respectively, legal and accounting services, including to the nonprofit community. So please go talk to Jessica. They are Christ-aligned in everything they do. And so if you need legal help, if you need accounting help, come talk to them about how they might be able to come alongside you. Now, this morning, we're going to hear from a uniquely qualified speaker. We do this every quarter, where we bring together some subject matter expert and all of you, so that you can learn about something that will help nonprofits operate more effectively. This is helpful to nonprofits who are trying to figure out how to raise the bar and to learn more. It's continuing education for nonprofit leaders. But at the same time, it's helpful for those of us in the broader community to learn, what is it that nonprofits are aiming for? How can we integrate the things that we already know with what nonprofits might need? So, Ginsu, come on up. Ginsu Varghese is known well to many of you. And she will tell you more about what it is that she does and what Lean Six Sigma is all about. Okay, you don't need this.
You don't need this.
You need
This. Perfect. Well, good morning, everyone. It's bright and early for this meeting today, but I am going to cover what is called Lean Six Sigma. And I know some of you guys may have heard of this term. Some of you guys have no idea what it is. But I'm hoping this morning you will be a little more educated in a tool that can be used not only in the corporate world, as it has been used for years, but also in your nonprofit worlds. The work that you guys do is incredibly powerful. Do you have the slides, Nancy? Yeah. There we go. My name is Ginsu Varghese. I am founder and principal consultant for Varghese Leadership. We are a leadership coaching and consulting firm focused primarily initially on the corporate world, but for some reason, this nonprofit world keeps tugging at my heart. And so here I am today in a room full of amazing nonprofit leaders, and so I'm hoping that I can share something with you from the nonprofit world, because you guys have shared immense missions in your nonprofit world. I'm hoping I can bring something from the corporate world for you. So, Lean Six Sigma. The work that you do in this room is incredibly sacred stewardship. What you do and how you started your nonprofits, some of those came from a need, some of those came from a hurt that you've seen and a calling, a yes that you have given to this calling on your life. And so the work that you do, I want you to know, is incredibly sacred. And so the reason why using some of these tools are even more important in your world than it probably is in the nonprofit, in the actual corporate world. And so as faith-based organizations, we're called to steward these resources with integrity, with excellence, and with impact. Integrity, because building relationships is important in the nonprofit world, but it's also important in real life, right? So being able to build that integrity, build those relationships, can lead to integrity with your stakeholders, with your donors, and with all those that you serve in your communities. Excellence, well, that's important because that is how the rest of the world sees us as Christians on who God is, right? That is our opportunity to show this world what being a Christian is and what Christ has done for us. So delivering with excellence in everything that you do, whether it's the volunteer orientation, whether it's serving your donors, whether it's pulling off the event of a gala or something of that sort. So excellence at every point of your process is really important, especially in the Christian world. And impact, none of us are trying to shrink away from this world, right? We have bold messages. We have a bold mission on what we are trying to accomplish within our organizations. And so impact is incredibly important that we focus on spreading the news and the impact of your organization. Right now, all of Houston, but maybe one day globally for a lot of you guys. So I want to focus on a couple of different Bible verses before we move forward so that we can know why we do the work that we do. I want to remind you of Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as you're working for the Lord and not for men. The work that you do is for Christ. You have been specifically called to do the work that you do in this nonprofit world because he has a mission. He has a work to do not only in this world, but even in each of us. Like some of us don't understand why we're exactly called to do this work, but you too have this tug to do this work in this nonprofit world, right? And that's what I love about an audience like this, is that the mission is clear. Whether you understand the why behind it, you know the mission is clear. You've been called to do this, and you have given your yes to do this. So work at it with excellence. And I also want to remind you of Matthew 25:40. Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. And that is what you guys do every single day. You find people that need Christ in their life and that need the resources and the tools and the services that you offer to do his work. So I just want to keep those two Bible verses in your head as we proceed for the remainder of the presentation. So what is this thing called Lean Six Sigma? I'm curious, how many have even heard the term Lean Six Sigma? All right, so a good majority have heard it. How many feel like it's an absolute foreign concept? I have no idea what you're talking about today. Okay, I would say that's probably the majority. Lean Six Sigma, let me give you a little bit history about what this is. In the most simplest of terms, Lean focuses on eliminating waste, and Six Sigma focuses on reducing errors. A little bit of origin story about the two processes. Lean started with the Toyota Corporation back in the 1940s and 50s, looking for ways to eliminate waste in their production. In the 1980s came Six Sigma, and that was from the Motorola Corporation. And they were looking for ways in their processes to reduce errors. And then in the 1990s, those two methodologies were combined to what is now called Lean and Six Sigma. Lean you can understand as far as eliminating waste, having a leaner process, a leaner organization, leaner in finances. That is self-explanatory. The Six Sigma comes from, for those of you that are interested in statistics or math, I can give you a little more information on why it's called Lean Six Sigma afterwards, but I can't imagine that we may all be interested in stats this morning. So it has something to do with standard deviations and six variations and all of that. So if you guys are interested in that, I love statistics, so come talk to me afterwards. So for the simplest of terms, these two were combined together to be called Lean Six Sigma. And it became popularized in the 1990s from the GE Corporation under Jack Welch's leadership, is where all of this became part of mainstream, mostly in the production and manufacturing technology worlds, but as years progressed, it was used in various organizations, in healthcare. For me specifically, I worked in the aerospace industry, and so it was incredibly an immense tool that we used in the aerospace industry as well. So it is used throughout corporations, throughout sectors, and it is now becoming a little more popular in the nonprofit world because we could use tools to eliminate waste and to reduce errors in our processes and in our services that we offer to those that we minister to. So that is your history lesson today on what Lean Six Sigma is, how it came about, and why we use it. Lean Six Sigma, like I said, it's a methodology on how you work through processes in your system. This is a very abbreviated list of the tools in your toolbox of Lean Six Sigma. Some of you guys may have heard of some of these processes, Kaizen, a RACI matrix, the 5 Whys. All these were birthed out of this Lean Six Sigma era. And so these are different tools that you use as you look at your processes. And the most important tool that we use in Lean Six Sigma is what we call process mapping. It's picking any process. It could be volunteer orientation, sitting down and mapping out what are the steps from point A to point B to get to the end of your process. So process mapping is the crux of what a Lean Six Sigma project is about. So it's taking steps, looking for processes within your organization, per se, that you have found a little bit of a tug or a bottleneck that you would like to go solve and find a solution for. So process mapping is the heart and soul of Lean Six Sigma. Now, we cannot get through a Lean Six Sigma presentation without using the term the DMAIC process. This is the framework in which you use Lean Six Sigma. So let me start from the beginning on the beginnings of a Lean Six Sigma project, per se. Say you have found in your organization that your volunteers, for some reason, volunteer retention has decreased, and you don't know why. You've been onboarding volunteers, you always have a great number of volunteers that join, but for some reason, as the months pass by, your volunteer retention has declined. And so if you bring in a Lean Six Sigma expert, how many of you guys know what the names are of leaders within Lean Six Sigma? They sound very much like martial arts. They're the white belts, the green belts, and the black belts. And so I was trained as a black belt at United Space Alliance, as a black belt in Lean Six Sigma. Basically, we're the leaders of the project. So we come into different organizations, whether it's the HR function at United Space Alliance, which I was a part of, or the finance function, or the IT function, to say, hey, we're finding a little bit of a struggle in this particular process. Help us through figuring out the why on why we're struggling and how we can get to a resolution. So the black belt comes in and helps form a team. And that team are all of the key stakeholders for this process. It could be the manager, it could be a facilitator, it could be the admin that actually takes in the volunteer request or processes the paperwork for the volunteer request. So the black belt is in charge of making sure that all of the key stakeholders are involved in this Lean Six Sigma project. So that comprises of your Lean Six Sigma team. So the black belt basically serves as the facilitator of this process. But all of the subject matter experts are your team members, okay? And they go through this intense, months-long process of finding out the why are we declining in volunteer retention. The first step of the DMAIC, and the DMAIC stands for define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. The DMAIC, in defining the process is finding out what the problem is. This is not where you this is not where you look for the solution. This is not where you look for the why. What is the problem? How do we clearly define it? And we have to make sure we want to solve this problem too, because a lot of times we spend time solving problems that don't have actual value to the mission of what we're doing. And so it's really important in this stage of this Lean Six Sigma project that you understand that this problem is critical to the mission of the work that we do. The next step is you collect data. This could take months. So we don't go on assumptions. We don't go on a whiff of, I think this is why why our volunteer retention is low. We actually collect data. And this is what takes time within a Lean Six Sigma project is, for example, in this volunteer retention example, we may collect data for 3 months, let's say. and you start with the entire process, and you collect data on what's happening in the 3 months so that we're all speaking the same language. We're not talking about assumptions. We're not talking about what you may see as a problem or what I may see as a problem. So this is really where a lot of the time is spent in Lean Six Sigma projects, because you are in the process of collecting the data. The next is determining what your root causes are, and we use those tools that I had in the previous slide in order to do this kind of work. So there's plenty of tools that the black belt will help you with, and then you move on to implementing the solutions to address the problems. Tools like Kaizen for little incremental changes which can lead to massive improvements in your process. So once you define the problem, once you've collected the data, now we find out what the root causes are, and now we're going to figure out what can we do to improve now that we know the why behind why our process was not working, or why our volunteer retention has decreased, for example. And then the final step, which is critical, which a lot of people get to the end of a Lean Six Sigma project, they get to this step and then they walk away and they go about living life as we've never even done the project, right? Control is important. It is what sustains the improvements that you've put into place. It is the data that you've collected for months. It is the stakeholders' time that you've inputted in regards to the meetings and all of the time that they put into this. Now that we have a solution, we need to assign a stakeholder to this process. Having a stakeholder for every process within your business, within your nonprofit, within your ministry is critically important to sustaining the gains from a Lean Six Sigma project. And so it's important that someone is held accountable with a team, of course, with stakeholders involved, but you do have a key point of accountability for who is going to help make sure that we are able to sustain these improvements and monitor the process, continue collecting data so that when we come to other problems, we have data already collected at that point. And I know data collection, I know you guys, I think, have had a presentation before on how critically important data is. What data allows us to do, not just in the corporate world, but especially in the nonprofit world, is that we're all going to be speaking with the same information. Because everyone comes, like I said, from a different perspective. And so we want to be able to talk apples to apples. We want to be able to look at numbers and say, volunteer retention has gone up, especially in the summer months. We've noticed that that is where we see the decline, versus someone seeing it from a different perspective based on their role within a nonprofit. All right, so defining is what's the problem, measuring is how bad is it really, and analyzing is what's causing the problem. Plenty of tools to choose from that your black belt and your leader of your team will help guide you through. Improving is what can we do about it, and finally, control is how can we make sure that we don't slip back into the way we've always done business. All right? So that is Lean Six Sigma generally is a process control, process improvement metric and methodology that we use, mapping out processes, and then going through this team process together with key stakeholders in the room, with accountability on who owns the process when it's done. So if you know the term DMAIC process, and if you know that process mapping is important, those are the critically two things about Lean Six Sigma that will guarantee success at the end. So as long as you know those things and you've got a great facilitator leading you through the process, that is generally what Lean Six Sigma is in the simplest of terms. And mind you, to become a white belt, a green belt, a black belt, it's sometimes 6 to 12 months worth of training. So I've consolidated that for you now in a few minutes. So I hope you guys understand what Lean Six Sigma is. And now you can go back and you can understand that the roles within Lean Six Sigma have nothing to do with martial arts. So when I do tell people that I'm a black belt, they're really intrigued, but it's not for the right reasons. It's really that I like statistics and not, martial arts. All right. Now, how does this apply to you in the nonprofit world? This, just like I said, those tools were just a teeny tiny snapshot of the tools we have in Lean Six Sigma. I understand this list is a very teeny tiny snapshot of the challenges that you have as a nonprofit leader. You're competing for attention and support within your organization. The most recent data was there are over 1.5 million 501c in the United States. Lots of replication on work that is being done. So your organization is competing for attention from your audiences, from your communities, from the cities in which we live. You've got regulatory compliances. You've got complexity related to what you need to do at the state level, what you need to do at the federal level. And staff burnout and turnover is huge. We are all burned out in the work that we do in everyday life, but you especially in the nonprofit world. I know that is a struggle. I know just resources in itself it can lead to that kind of struggle. And you've got to always measure and demonstrate your impact, not only to your stakeholders, not only to your board, but you want to be able to demonstrate that impact to the people that you serve. Because at the end of the day, when we're in a faith-based organization, we understand that every person is an image of God, right? And so we have an opportunity to serve them. And so we have that responsibility to serve them with the best that we've got, right? And so that is hard. And measuring and things like Lean Six Sigma, tools that help you work more efficiently can demonstrate that impact that you have in your groups. Funding, of course. Board governance, board challenges. I know we've had presentations on board governance, how critical and important that is for those that lead your organizations. And now we've got technology gaps. We've got AI in the mix. We're trying to figure out how all of that fits into what we do in the nonprofit world. So I understand that the challenges are vast, and I understand what you do on a day-to-day basis is incredibly difficult, but you were called to do this. You are in this space because this is the calling that God has on your life, whether you are someone who started a nonprofit, whether you are a board member, whether you are a volunteer, but this has become your ministry, and that is why you do what you do every single day. And the tools that I've gone over and what we're going to talk about today, whether you've been in the nonprofit world and your nonprofit world has existed for decades, or whether it's a calling that you just really said yes to recently and you're trying to figure out how exactly am I going to make all of this work with the limited time that I have, along with all of these challenges that you see on this list, you were made for this. You were called to do this. And so this is why things like Lean Six Sigma are critically important to your mission, because the dollars that your donors entrust to you are important because it builds your level of trust with them, right? They've earned the money. They've chosen to support you amongst the 1.5 million other organizations that they can choose from. And so you have accountability to your donors. You have accountability to those that you serve, but you also have accountability to all of those that are doing the work day in and day out within your own nonprofit. And burnout's a real thing. And so making sure that those that are working in your space, whether it's that person that's doing intake at the front desk, whether it's that person that's going out there and doing community outreach, all of those people are also critically important in the work that you do. And that is why efficiency, excellence, and impact are critically important in especially what you do. All right, so what are ways that Lean Six Sigma can benefit you in the nonprofit world? There are plenty of benefits with Lean Six Sigma in the nonprofit world, but I'm going to focus on 6 of them. We're going to go through some examples of each of them. Improved efficiency, we could all do a little bit better in that. Better donor stakeholder satisfaction. Making decisions based on data and not a hunch. That is incredibly important because like I said earlier, we speak the same language on why something is not working. Cost reduction, higher quality of services, and of course, not forgetting our staff and volunteers that are the heart and soul of what you do every day. So let's talk about each of these benefits. Improved efficiency. Reducing the time it takes to get a volunteer through through your volunteer process, making sure that that is clean and an efficient process, not only benefits you as the organization, but it also keeps the volunteer coming back. And so it makes it, and those people are sometimes your best ambassadors for what you do, right? Is they spread the word to their friends, to their family, to their organizations, to their place of work, to their churches. And so having improved efficiencies, streamlining your processes, and making sure that all of it is done in an efficient way is important as well. An example I want to give you, Feeding America. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that organization. They do use Lean Six Sigma organization-wide, and they were having problems with their delivery of their food distribution to their partners. And so they implemented a Lean Six Sigma project and were able to optimize the efficiency of how food got donated to how it finally got to their partners. And so that is a real-life example of how improved efficiency has worked in the nonprofit world. Better donor and stakeholder satisfaction. Again, building trust is critically important, and you can't build trust if you don't have data and if you don't have efficient process to let your donors know that their money is being used wisely. Because you want to make sure that every dollar that comes to you gets used in the most efficient way, and that allows you to build trust and to be able to bring in more volunteers and donors to your organization. And again, data-driven decision-making, incredibly important. Cost reduction. This is huge, and a lot of people associate Lean, it gets a bad rap, really, because everyone thinks it's about cutting costs. Cutting cost is important to all of us. It's important to your organization, it's important to the corporate world, it's important in your households, right? And so figuring out how to stretch that dollar in your space is critically important. And an example of that was, a real life example I found was Goodwill actually uses also a Lean Six Sigma process within their organization. They figured out a way to take their donation processing centers. There was a lot of cost in not just the employees that were there, but also in how they functioned from when you donated something to Goodwill to when that actually got back on their shelves. And so using Lean Six Sigma to figure out where were the big ticket items that we're spending on. And so Goodwill was able to use this process as well in cutting costs. Higher quality of services, minimizing errors and ensuring consistency, that helps even with burnout, right? It's frustrating to work for an organization when you're always having to go back and correct something, when you're always having to go back and go through a process that we think everybody knew the process, which is why process mapping is so important, because what I thought we were doing when we were intaking volunteers and getting them to actually stand there and volunteer is probably very different than what you thought was happening. And so having the right people in the room to map out that process, it's just like looking at a dice. If I'm holding a dice in front of you, what you see on that dice and what I see on that dice and what this person sees and what this person sees are very different. And so that is why it's important to have the right stakeholders in the room, because that gives you the perspective from every person in the room, whether it's your volunteer, whether it's your board member, whether it's your employee. And finally, staff and volunteer empowerment. Like I said before, burnout is real, and really respecting your staff is really allowing them to have processes in place that are consistent, that are reliable, and that are cost efficient, right? And so it's a way of loving your staff too, right? Is really being able to say that we are an organization that when you come to work for us, you can count on us for making sure that we've got our house in order. And so it's really important that that you don't overlook that staff and volunteer piece of all of this as well. All right. So how does all of this affect your organization? Ooh, your organization. Sorry. Make an impact today. I want you to go back to your organizations, and I want you to take what you've learned today and figure out how we're going to use what we learned here. It's a very complex, I understand, methodology, but it can be incredibly simple, and you don't need the complex tools, you don't need the expensive financial models, you don't need a black belt to come and facilitate for you. There are things that you can do today when you get back into your organization. First, I ask you to invite your team to really brainstorm. What are some areas where I feel there may be some bottlenecks? What are some areas that we struggle with? What are some things that are coming up in our meetings that we consistently struggle with? And so it's everyone's ministry. It's not just the board member's ministry. It's not just the executive director's ministry. It is everyone's ministry that is in the realm of your organization. So call those people in and have a brainstorming session to say, hey guys, where are some areas that we think we can improve? And they know. They know even from their perspective what are the areas that they can improve on. And we may not see it at the board level. We may not even see it at the executive director level. But bring in everyone, invite them in, brainstorm what are some areas that we can work, because it is every one of our ministries. And then just start tracking simple metrics. How many of you are tracking metrics? So find out what metrics are important to you. It doesn't have to be anything complex. It doesn't have to be anything statistical. Just find out what is your mission and how do you know you've accomplished your mission. Because what metrics allows us to do is to know that the work that we do from day to day allows us to move the needle. If you're not moving the needle every day, we've got a problem, right? And so when you find those metrics, find those numbers and those measures that actually move the needle for your organization, and what is critically important to the mission of what you do. 3 to 5 things, nothing complex. 3 to 5 things of what does your particular nonprofit do. And then find metrics that help you to see if you're moving the needle on those things on a daily basis. And lastly, the easiest thing to do is map out a process. Find any process, anything that there is a little bit of stickiness around, anything that you know you could use a little more time on. If we spent a day talking about this process, I think we could really hash it out. Those kinds of processes within your organization, map it out. Have an afternoon session, call everyone together, and let's just use a big, computer screen or flip chart or whatever you can do. Map out from the absolute beginning step of the process to the end result of when that process is over. And you will be surprised by everyone's perspective on what they thought was really happening in that process. So take time to map out the process. These are 3 incredibly easy ways to go back to the office today and get started. Have a day to invite your team to brainstorm. Figure out what metrics are important to you guys and map a process. Okay? Again, sacred stewardship. It is so incredibly important what you're doing. Lean Six Sigma gives us tools to honor the people we serve and the donors that support us. So it is really critical, more than what I was doing in the corporate world. It is even more critical what you guys are doing in the nonprofit world, because you are doing Christ's work. You guys are the hands and feet of God's work here in Houston, because I know most of you guys are from Houston, even though we have a reach globally. So it is more and more important for you than what we do in the corporate world, because we measure it by profits in the corporate world, right? You measure it for something that is far more important. You measure it for impact and for the people that you serve. And sometimes efficiency, like I said, gets a bad rep. It's really not the enemy. It is actually an expression of your compassion for your people, for your staff, for your volunteers, and the communities that you serve. So having efficient processes, making sure that your financial costs are, reduced costs, making sure that your stakeholders are involved in the process, that you're able to establish trust with them because you've established really good metrics to show how we've made progress from last month to this month. So all of this is, like I said, critically important to you, because you do the work of God every single day. And so I applaud what you do here, and I thank Nancy for the opportunity to do this, and I am in awe of what happens here at the Fellowship of Barnabas Partners. I did not know such an organization existed. If it weren't for Jenny Fridge, who invited me one day to say, hey, come, you should come and figure out, and let's see what this is all about. So I just want you to know that it's incredibly important, the work that you do, and I just want to leave you with a quote. A lot of times in organizations, when we find issues, when we find problems within a process, we want to fix it. And a lot of us are doers. I will have to admit I am one too. You want to fix the problem, you want to get to the solution, but the reality is all you're doing at that point is putting out fires, right? You are not solving the problem. You are putting out a fire for that day, but you have not solved the problem for your organization. So a shortcut will give you a win today, but it really rarely sustains success for what you're trying to do, because you will put that fire out again another day. It may be with another executive director, it may be with another employee. Someone else is going to find that problem again, and someone else is going to solve it a different way next time. So in order for us to really be able to solve problems permanently, we need to know that it's process. It's looking at your processes that's going to shift your focus from these short-term wins, these short-term applause, to really long-term excellence, because that's what you are aiming for. You're aiming for long-term excellence. You're aiming for long-term integrity. You're aiming for long-term impact with the work that you do. And it allows you to build habits that compound impact and character within your organization, within all of those people that rally around you to spread the word of what you do so that you can serve your people better. So quick fixes offer comfort, and we all love comfort. But all it is quick fixes will only offer you comfort, but it is process that will build your legacy and your organization's legacy. So thank you very much. I want to get to know each and every one of you guys here today, so please reach out in any form. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, email, all of those things. So Nancy, thank you for this amazing work that you do. So I hope you guys learned a little bit about Lean Six Sigma today and how it applies to you.
We've got time for a few questions.
Yes.
Jay here.
Questions?
First question I'd like to hear is from someone who is here for the first time. So if this is your first Fellowship of Barnabas Partners breakfast and you have a question for Ginsu, raise your hand. Yes.
Do you want to get into your statistics right now?
I think I'm going to bore everybody else.
She'll have plenty of time to talk
I will
to you
talk
later.
to you afterwards, for sure. Got it.
Anybody else with a first time, any first time attenders who have a question? In that case, could I hear from somebody who is a partner? If you are a Barnabas partner and you have a question, Aaron.
How long is the process for, if you're hired to do Lean Six Sigma, how long is that process as black belt?
It really depends on what it is, what process you are looking at within your organization. Some things can be solved incredibly quickly. Some things are long-term. But generally speaking, Lean Six Sigma projects run anywhere from 6 to 9 months. Some of the quicker ones you can do in 3 months, because it is really important that all the right stakeholders are at the meetings. And so sometimes it's a once-a-month meeting, sometimes it's twice-a-month meeting. And so having all the right people in the room is sometimes the hardest resource to really get a grasp on. But it's usually typically around 6 to 9 months.
Mm-hmm. Is there anyone in the room who has used Lean Six Sigma and has a question for Ginsu? Yes, Tina.
Good morning. So we're not officially using Lean Six Sigma as a model, but our board president is a black belt, and so he's taking us through Lean Six
Okay,
Sigma.
perfect.
It's challenging for me because that's not the way my brain works. Now I understand why a lot better. So thank you for explaining it.
Well, I'm so glad you understand it, because my objective today was to make sure that we can understand it in the simplest terms, because it is a simple solution to a lot of our problems, and it's made a little more complex in the details, but it's very easy to understand.
Yeah. Rainey,
Thank
did you
you
have
for that.
a question?
It's almost a question and a statement, but I learned about Lean Six Sigma and oil and gas So when I went over to the nonprofit side, it just helped me so much to look bigger picture and just kind of all these little things and how
Yeah.
they align. And so last year, we took the whole year in our systems to look at this and just simplify things, see what we don't need to do. And this year, it's so much better since we implemented all
Yeah.
that. I mean, the efficiency and everything, I mean, I highly recommend everyone to do this and get into it. It's life changing.
Yeah, it's amazing because a lot of the work that you do, there are processes that are repetitive, and those are the processes that you don't want to have to fix and massage and figure out as you're doing the real work, the critical work of what your mission is, right? So those are the processes that are excellent for Lean Six Sigma, are those things that you're doing repetitively within your organizations. But I'm glad to hear that it translated so well in the nonprofit world.
John, you have a question.
Yeah, so this is maybe a silly question. Is the white, green, and black, is that a graduated thing, or do you get trained in each of those differently?
You get trained in each differently. A black belt can train green belts and white belts. White belt is a very fundamental level of exposure training, really. It is black belts that actually run the teams. And so it is two different levels of knowledge of what Lean Six Sigma is, but it's only the black belts that usually run the teams.
So you start off as a white belt and then go to green belt and go to
No,
black?
no, no, no. You go to whichever one. So I worked at United Space Alliance, and when I was there, we decided Lean Six Sigma is something that we need to use company-wide, and so a group of us were trained to become black belts for the organization through a consulting company that does just black belt training. And so from that, we go out and teach green belts for the organization, as well as run projects for different pieces of the organization.
Faith, you have a question?
Yes.
Wondering, if my nonprofit, for example, wanted to hire a black belt, do we need someone that has nonprofit experience? Because are those solutions kind of generic for,
That's an excellent, excellent question. She asked if we are wanting to do a Lean Six Sigma project within our organization, do you necessarily need to have does the black belt necessarily need to have knowledge of your process? It is the best case scenario when the black belt has zero knowledge of your process, because you are the process expert. You are the expert in the work that you do. We just walk you through the process. And it's just like a facilitator for a retreat or a facilitator for a meeting. Knowing the content of what's being done is not what we're focused on as a facilitator. Just like that, a black belt doesn't focus on what you do, we focus on how you do it. And so we make sure you walk through the process, and you guys, as the stakeholders, input for the content of it. So that was an excellent question.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Brandon.
Yes, for organizations that are staff operated but volunteer led, have you found effective ways for the volunteers to not only learn through the, I don't want to say the higher staff, but the actual staff, learning Lean Six to where the volunteers can operate and thus train other people to think on the same mindset?
I think whether you are staff or whether you are volunteer, if your work in the mission is critical to the organization, either can be trained on how to use this. I know it's hard sometimes to rally around a group of volunteers to do this, so time might be your biggest really constraint there for that, but it is just as critical for those volunteer functions, because I know a lot of your organizations operate with the volunteers really as the touch point to your communities, and so having them equipped is excellent if you have the time and resources to do that.
Ginsu is going to be here at 9:30 when we wrap up. So if you've got further questions, you can either see her this morning or contact her through the ways that are on the screen. Would you again join me in thanking her for being here?
Thank you so much.
So now we come to the heart of what we're going to do this morning. You might have thought that was it, but guess what? There's more. Because at your table, here's where you say the rubber meets the road. Having heard all of this, how are we going to apply it? What are the opportunities? What are the obstacles? What are the resources that we bring to this? Each person can share about what it is that you've heard and what you think you might do next. As you share with each other, you'll find that you have ideas for each other, resources, encouragement. And then over this next 25 minutes or so, after a time of, included in with that, after about 15 minutes of discussion, make sure that you transition to a time for prayer, where each person's needs, each person's opportunities, everything that's arisen in the conversation gets brought before the Lord, and you pray about that together. After that, we'll tell you what comes next. We've got about 5 more minutes for table discussion and prayer. May God continue to hear the desire of our hearts. May He give us insight in how to apply what we've heard today. May He continue to give the connections that are in this room that will help us all grow. You'll have time to keep talking later on, but I've got some things to share with you now. First, I mentioned earlier that we've got people here from education and business and nonprofits and church leadership, and I mentioned government leadership. Let me introduce to you Rebecca Williams, who is here in her role leading community outreach for the mayor's office. Rebecca? Yeah. Yeah. You may think of ways that your sphere of influence might interact with what she does every day. And so, chit-chat with her a little bit later on. No pressure, no pressure, no pressure. So, many of you know Kathleen Pennington, who is one of our advising partners and such a generous-hearted, come on up, Emily, and gracious person. She is unable to be here this morning, but among the many hats she wears is 100 Shares Houston support. And so that organization, 100 Shares, is represented this morning by Emily and Nancy. And Emily is going to tell us more about what 100 Shares does and how it can benefit you.
Thank you, Nancy, and all the Fellowship of Barnabas partners for having us here this morning just to talk for a minute about what 100 Shares Houston is and what we are doing. My name's Emily Reeves. I'm the chairman of the board this year, and Nancy Lisenby is with me also. She's a past chairman, and we would be more than happy to answer any questions or talk to you afterwards. But 100 Shares is a Christ-centered organization that awards financial grants to Christian nonprofits in the Houston area that are serving the needy and sharing the gospel. In its simplest form, we are a giving circle. We gather gifts from at least 100 women. This past year, we gathered gifts from 214 women, and we create a larger grant that's able to multiply the gift of one person and create either a $100,000 grant or a $50,000 grant. We work under NCF, National Christian Foundation. They handle all of our finances. And since the spring of 2015, this is our 12th year, 100 Shares Houston has given away $1.45 million to Houston Ministries. And this year, yes, yay, it's an awesome thing. This year, we set a new record in giving away $219,000 total at the end of our giving cycle, which just ended this past March. Our winners this year were Revival Sport, which is an after-school soccer program in A-Leaf that's doing amazing things. Manna House, which is a men's recovery home in Brookshire. And then our two finalists this year were Lifehouse, which is a crisis pregnancy organization, and Neighbor House, which is early childhood education. So as you can see, there's not an agenda in how we give our money away. We go with where the Lord is leading us and who applies each year. And so if you are fitting any of these criteria and you're here today as a ministry, please get on our website and look and see if you can apply for our grant. You have to be a Christian nonprofit in the Houston area. You need to be sharing the gospel every day as part of an integral part of what you do. The initiative must be that you're applying for the grant for needs to be completed within 1 to 2 years of receiving the grant. So we want to give you the money and we want it to go to use right away. And it must be for something that's either an expansion of an existing program or a new program. So no capital campaigns and things like that. Just to give you a brief timeline of what the application process looks like and our year looks like as a board, our grant letter of intent is live online right now. So again, if this applies to you, Nancy's included a newsletter that's in your bag that has all of our information on it, but we would love for you to get online and fill out, it's just a one-page letter of intent. And our grants committee is meeting over the summer and will review these. If you qualify to apply for the grant, you'll be notified, and the grant application will go out and be due at the end of the summer. The board then vets the grants that come in, and we have a fall coffee in November, which the fall coffee was just finalized. It's November 12th. At Christ Presbyterian Church, just right down the road on I-10. And we will have our 4 finalists come and present to any partner of 100 Shares so they can hear about what is happening and how God is moving in Houston. We have some happy hours in the fall where more people in Houston can just learn about what's going on. And then in January, every partner of 100 Shares is invited to go on site to the 4 finalists and see in person what they're doing day to day. It's maybe my favorite part of the whole thing. It's so incredible to see what y'all are doing on site. And then in the spring, in March, we have our awards luncheon where we actually give the check to the winner and they receive it and get to tell the whole group about what's going on. There's a QR code you can scan. If you're here not as a ministry or as a ministry and you're interested in partnering with 100 Shares, we would love to have you. And so you can register here to partner with us, or you can go to this website and learn more about the application process and letter of intent. And that is it.
That's it.
Thank you, Nancy.
Okay, Emily, Reeves, Nancy, Lisenby are people that you can talk to about this later on. So, Amy, come on up. Advising partner Amy Fuller has some comments to make about what her organization is doing right now and what Fellowship of Barnabas Partners can look forward to in the fall.
Hello, everybody. My name is Amy Fuller. I'm with Fuller Life Family Therapy Institute. For the past 13 years, we have been providing intensive training to marriage and family therapists who receive 4 times the required amount of training and supervision so that they can really be confident to make a difference in their clients' lives. And we have been providing affordable therapy to the community so that mental health care is not a privilege, but a resource to everyone. We have 4 locations, and we have a lot of you guys are some of our partners, and flexible hours, and just happy to share with y'all about Fuller Life. So there's a mental health crisis going on right now. Suicide is the second most likely way that young people today die. And 60% of people who have a mental health condition don't receive care due to stigma or accessibility and affordability. And so there are some things that you guys can do about this. The first thing you can do is come back in September to hear Dr. Matt Stanford, who is with the Hope and Healing Center. I was with Nancy at an event earlier this year, and I just watched her little brain working. He was the speaker, and he's just a wealth of information, and really going to share some important information for you guys about how nonprofits can make a difference for mental health care. But you don't have to wait till September. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I want to tell you about 3 things that we're doing at Fuller Life. So in your little packets, you have either a green sheet like this, or you have some of these things. So the first thing I want to tell you guys about is this thing called the Hope Collective. So it stands for Hearts Open, Praying Expectantly. And it is a community of people who are praying for various issues. And we are in the process of praying for 31 days for mental health care. And the participants, we have 191. We started with 106, so we're growing. We had 106 for the 40 days we did in the fall. And you'll get an email with a theme and a verse and a story and a guided prayer, a little reflection on kind of how the theme relates to mental health care, and then these very fun practices that are either mental health, spiritual, or experiential. So love to have you join us. We're halfway through the process, but you can still join and pray with us each morning. The second way you get involved is we have a few spots left for our mental health prayer retreat, which is this coming Saturday from 9:30 to 1:30. It's over on the campus of the Chapelwood UMC. So I'm super into contemplative prayer practices. It changed my life. And this retreat is an opportunity to integrate very common mental health things like mindfulness and self-compassion to practice and experience them within the context of God's love and silence and contemplative prayer practices. So love to have you join us. And finally, I want to invite all of you to come out to our open house, which is this coming Tuesday from 4 to 7 at our main location. And we're going to have refreshments, fun door prizes, and a meaningful tour of our office space. And you can learn all about our mission and how we are ensuring that mental health care is not a privilege, but a resource for all. Thanks so much, y'all.
Hey, Amy's prayer emails every day are really good. And I would suggest, if you would like, subscribe to those, whether your heart has been touched, your life has been touched by mental health issues, or whether you are interested in having a prayer initiative of your own for your organization. Kind of model it after what they're doing. I'm telling you, I've seen a lot. And this is really good. So I do want you to know about our 3rd quarter breakfast. So as Amy mentioned, most people who need mental health help never receive it. Those who do tend to go to a house of faith where the people they encounter, the leaders at that church, may or may not be prepared to extend mental health support. It may also be that those leaders at the church don't know whether the people who are coming to them have just a transient issue that will resolve on its own in time, or whether this is a serious red flag and I'm out over my skis and I really need to find some additional help for that person. Churches, aware of this, often reach out to resources in the community to say, help us know how we can better serve the people who come to us for help. It occurs to us at Fellowship of Barnabas Partners that many people in the nonprofit community serve as de facto spiritual resources for those whom they serve. So somebody may not have a home church, or it might not be a place where they are comfortable going. But, oh, this assistance ministry, this place that I go for food, for rent, for clothing, for household items, that's the place I'm also maybe going to reveal my heart. And so nonprofit leaders also need to be critically aware of how to assess mental health issues, how to refer to resources in the community, what resources are there that are available, that are affordable, that are geographically accessible, and so on. And so this is part of what Dr. Matt Stanford does, is to help prepare organizations for filtering the mental health conditions of the people with whom they work, at the same time being aware of our own staff and our own selves. He's got a podcast. He's got books. He's really, really, really well known, and when you get the newsletters, I'm going to be telling you more about those things. This is a great opportunity to hear from a giant in the mental health world. So sign up for this breakfast. And I want to tell you about some of our new partners, because people who are in the room, as I mentioned, are either partners at one level or another, or are guests who are visiting. You are welcome to visit as long as you want. Nobody is going to twist your arm. However, if you're a partner, some cool things happen. New people who are partners since our last breakfast include Jill Zivley. Y'all are going to have to raise your hand. Look a little blind. Here's Jill. Sean Jones was seated back here. I think he has stepped out. Sarah's not here. Faith, hello. So you can ask them why they counted it beneficial to join, but we're going to tell you about some of the benefits. Of course, you get to come for free and eat breakfast, which everybody else gets to do too, but you get to come every month to partner-only lunches where we do, the inside baseball kind of stuff. Like, what are the needs that arose at that last breakfast? Or what topics should we consider in the quarters to come? All kinds of things. You get to, just like Kathleen's association with 100 Shares was highlighted here as Emily spoke to us. Amy, as an advising partner, got to talk about her work with Fuller Life. So you, as a partner, also get to highlight some of the work that you are doing. You also get to include stuff in the bag. And in the newsletter that comes out once a month, or sometimes a little more often, there's a partner announcement section where you get to say, celebrate with us, we've been in operation for 10 years, or we need a French-speaking family law attorney, or we need a warehouse because we're sending supplies to flood-ravaged North Carolina, or whatever it is that your organization needs to highlight. We can do that if you're a partner. Now, a final benefit of being a partner that we want to talk about a little bit more extended right now is something new called partner pairs. And to talk about that, we have Gabrielle Baumeier. Okay, it's the down arrow, in case you need it.
Thank you for that reminder, the down arrow. Good morning. Thanks for being here, and it's my delight to introduce you to the Partner Pairs program if you haven't heard about it already. So many of you are for-profit leaders, you're leaders in the business community, many of you are nonprofit leaders, and I'm speaking to those business leaders now, okay? And I know some of you wear two hats. What we've done is we've put together a program where over 6 months, 6 months of time, and it's not a lot of time, by the way, you get to meet with other partners, a minimum of 4, for 30 minutes each. It's not a lot of time. And you get to know each other at a deeper level, more than you can after or before the breakfast. So the purpose of Partner Pairs is to enhance collaboration, community, and learning amongst our partners, because let's call it what it is. You are here for a reason, and it is to make a difference and to get to know each other. And so I brought a special guest with me via video. By the way, he's in Indonesia right now, but he did not want to miss the opportunity to share with you what it's been like for him to be a part of Partner Pairs, and Hank Tate is smiling really big because he knows who it is. Nancy?
I'm Matt Minger. I work for SIL Global, and I am the International Coordinator for Ethnomusicology and the Arts. I joined Partner Pairs because I wanted more time to get to know people and explore some of the connections. Each partner pair meeting has been different, and I've learned different things from everybody. One meeting was with Hank Tate, and I learned about some crazy family connections that go back a couple of generations, and that was just a lot of fun. Another meeting was with Mike Johnson, and we connected about someone he worked with doing worship arts in India, which is very close to my role in SIL Global. And then I found out he is moving to Plano, and so I connected him with a ministry I'm also working with. And so it's just really cool to see what God wants to do with these meetings that we never would have expected. I would absolutely recommend that people join the next cohort. It's such a small time commitment, and for me, that little bit of accountability that I know we're going to meet every once in a while, it just helps it happen, because it's very easy to go to breakfasts and meet people and say, we should follow up, and it never goes anywhere. And it's been a great joy to meet new people, and we're not trying to accomplish some task other than just build a relationship.
Okay, I would like for our inaugural group of partner pair participants to please stand up. I want you to know who these people are because they've led the effort to prove to us that this model works, to get to know each other. So we have Amy and Hank, Natasha back there, and Mike. Hank and Mike were mentioned, and then Bridget. They were mentioned in the video, so thank you very much. So I invite you to join the next cohort. It goes from July to December. Like Matt said, it's a small time commitment. You meet with at least 4 partners. Hank is like, I'm going to meet with all 10 of them. Go for it. That's really great. The point is to get to know each other, to love on each other, and see what God has in store for you knowing each other. So we have do we have the, there it is. Take your phones out, please. And you can sign up to become one of our 10. You can fill one of our 10 slots. We only have 10 spaces, 5 nonprofit leaders, 5 business leaders. You can go to this QR code. We're registering people through the end of this month. We'll have an orientation in June, and we'll start in July. Thank you so very much for considering being a part of the group. It'll be life-changing, I promise. Thank you, Nancy.
So remember, this is one of the benefits of being a partner. And you'll also get a link to this in the next newsletters that come out. So you haven't missed the opportunity if you're still fumbling for your phone, but do keep your phone handy because we've got some other things for you to click here in just a minute. When you're a partner, here are some of the things that you can do. And here's a QR code that you can click right now. If you would like to join as a partner, partnerships start at $50 a month. So, in addition to being a partner, you could be a sponsor. And just like the 4 sponsors that we mentioned before, you would be a significant help in making these breakfasts available to the broadest possible community with as open door as possible because it's at no cost. It may be that you're not ready yet to join as a partner, although I hope you are. It may be that you are not quite sure that you are a sponsor, but you are so grateful for the benefit that you have received today. And you would just like to make a donation to us. I might as well ask, right? And so if you are interested in making a donation to support this organization, to let us know that this morning has been beneficial to you, here's a QR code. How long should I leave it at? Okay. Now, you've got a bag. Let's talk about the kinds of things that are in the bag. We have announcements from organizations like 100 Shares and Fuller Life. If you're a partner, you can do that kind of thing and put your information in the bag as well. We've got, we've got information from Do As I Have Done, led by Bridget Edgar. And this is an organization that cares for the feet of people who are underserved, homeless, veterans, elderly. Like, think about their feet. And Bridget is professionally and in spirit prepared to do that kind of care. So she has information here, and if your organization maybe serves some of that population, come and talk to Bridget. Bridget, wave. Thank you. Okay, you've got information from Solace Media, one of our sponsors, about upcoming events. We have, let's see, some goodies for you to enjoy on the way home. I want to make sure that you know about Faith-Based Fundraising Fellowship. Christy, where are you? Okay, so Christy is leading this initiative for those who raise funds for nonprofit organizations. Perhaps that's a development officer, an executive director, even a board member. Go talk to Christy about these monthly meetings. In your bag, as you flip through, you will notice a measuring tape. When you think about this morning's remarks, when you think about what Ginsu has had to say about tracking a process, measuring select metrics, here is a measuring tape that's used to measure. And as you use it, and as you think about the little Barnabas branding on the back, remember the kinds of things that we've been talking about today. Of course, you're measuring many, many different kinds of things, but this is emblematic. Okay, how are we doing? As you post about this morning's breakfast, here are some ideas. First, you can use the hashtags that you see on the screen, Barnabas Partners or Barnabas Breakfasts, and you can also take a picture in front of our closing slide if you would like to brand your photograph as it appears on social media. This is growing, and I could not put this all together by myself. So I want to thank the people who helped me stuff the gift bags yesterday and who helped me get the tables arranged this morning and all decorated. You know who you are. And I am so, so, so grateful for the financial support of our sponsoring partners and our advising and general partners. Thanks to Bill Ballmeyer, Bill back in the corner, who is doing photography for us this morning. In addition to being an advising partner, he is donating his time and making it very, very available for us to arrange to have him here this morning. Houston's First is a great place for us to meet. And as you see the staff, those who are serving, those who are taking care of the audiovisual, please thank them. This is a beautiful place. It's convenient. And they make it so, so easy for us to meet here. Each one of you has contributed uniquely. And you will continue to as you visit while our meeting is wrapping up. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in September for Dr. Matt Stanford. Have a great day.